Hi, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. This is Raj Pendyala from T-Systems. Hope everyone is doing fine and great. And today we are going to run through a small presentation from both T-Systems and SMP, our great partner, about this S/4HANA implementation timeline. Next slide, please. And yeah, the current agenda today we have is some of the topics. I think everyone would have gone through these topics once in a while in their current several S/4HANA presentations. So we have a sort of similar agenda here too, but a little bit different touch. So the agenda is here: intelligent enterprise challenges and what are the T-Systems offerings for that. How do we simplify and shorten? And from SMP onwards, we have Chris, who will be talking shortly about all these SMP and the data transformation approaches they have. Next slide, please. Yeah, we are the presenters here. My name is Raj. I'm the current SAP Solutions Sales Leader with the T-Systems North America, having 15 to 20 years experience in SAP sales, delivery, and project management. I'm based out of Dallas, Texas. Chris, please.
Yeah, thanks, Raj. It's great to be here today. My name is Chris Hanshew. I'm a Senior Director at S&P, and I'm responsible for pre-sales at S&P, and I've been involved in the SAP market in some fashion or form for the last 20 years. So it's great to be here.
Thank you, Chris. Next slide, Aaron. All right, so we have change, which is going on constant in this universe. And now with the COVID-19, we have so many things going on. Everyone is into a new normal, but things have to change even from the new normal to the original normal. So the point here is the ability to respond to the change and get to the market quickly is very, very important. And exactly it is what is happening and in every sense in our current SAP world. And it all the more became relevant due to the current new normals and the COVID-19. But these new technologies and systems have been implemented and the processes have been digitized. And I know there is always a next step that we need to face intelligently by integrating with all the systems and all the interfaces. So we need an integrated overall concept, starting right from the connectivity to the infrastructure, to the cloud solutions, and the digitalizing your SAP applications, and the current sophisticated IT security concepts. That's where T-Systems can guide you on your entire journey and also becoming one of the making you the intelligent enterprise with a very comprehensive end-to-end SAP portfolio. So today what we're talking about is basically how we help you in your current transformation journey, and along with the S&P team, just want to make you to run through some of our tools, accelerators, and things like that. So some of the challenges. Now, the current intelligent automation is when we are using it, it helps to digitize your workplace, empower your employees, and enhance customer experiences and a competitive edge for your organization. These dimensions of digital capabilities required to scale your digital operations and transformation initiatives. Now, how to determine where your organization is in this entire journey. And at the same time, when you are planning to implement S/4HANA, you will have several impacts, and also the improvements are happening in the entire enterprise. For instance, your lines of business, finance, sourcing and procurement, sales and service, supply chain, and asset management. All these are making a lot of good improvements. At the same time, now you have an issue with the data transparency. So in the future, well, what you can see is some of the customers, or most of the customers, the data will be a growing concern and a source for the competitive advantage. gaining consumers' confidence will be the key, and also companies that are transparent about the information they gather are going to be successful when compared to the other companies. So having said that, so the companies will be more trusted having, a good transparency of the data and how they handle it and how they process it. That is one of the key challenges through these things. And also when you have this unknown usage and utilization of the current SAP implementations, there are many instances where the consequences of a failed rollouts and also sometimes they're serious and including some of the shareholder lawsuits and financial meltdowns. So these are a lot of changes we are facing in the current enterprises. Next slide, please. So we just mentioned about all these challenges at the same time, we've been addressing these challenges through our SAP portfolio. For instance, we have several of these S/4HANA transformation programs, what we've been talking about. And now we segregated all these portfolio offerings through various type of offerings. For instance, we have the SAP application management services. We have some of the technical consulting, which have been having a very mature way of handling things for the clients. At the same time, we are working on some of the innovations Leonardo applications and also S/4HANA transformations, C/4HANA, and of course now SAP S applications. So all these we have several of these offerings through our SAP portfolio, and also we can help you to take your current environments to clouds, whether it is AWS, Azure, or Google, or if you want to host in your own private environment, we can help there too. Next slide, please. So we are doing a lot of simplification for many clients with the catalysts, what we have been finding out with these transformations. Next slide, please. So in a typical possible reasons why there is a need, first of all, it's important to identify. We identify major 4 areas. One is the technology. So in a typical world, you always want to take it into the in-memory and cloud. And in that phase, your costs and your sizes are very complex. And the digitalization is happening in a big way. And you have Industry 4.0, you have IoT, and a lot of big data issues. And for instance, your plant automation, you want to bring in some robotics into the whole mix. So all these are putting a lot of, giving a lot of reasons for you to look into digitalization and your business processes. For instance, your performance and your usability, and you want to change fundamentally some of the processes through the process improvement. And of course, as you already know, ECC end of life, of course, SAP has extended for 4 more years. It doesn't really take you to really relax, but you'll have to plan for it, for all these changes, which are going to be the possible reasons. Next slide, please. So what are the major changes you are looking into? For instance, now from a point of business, what your CEO is looking into. For instance, the new business models they want to bring to the table, or else they are merging with another company or carving out one of their unit out. So all these are some of the challenges and also changes which are happening for some of the major clients. At the same time, from the technology wise, you want to run to a public cloud, or you want to do the complete system consolidation. So you have a mix of many of these challenges and changes that are happening in the current industry with many clients. Now, for instance, T-Systems has been working with many of these type of use cases and changes what we have been working with that. For instance, if you're looking into a new business model, T-Systems has worked with one of the largest automobile manufacturer. They want to change the entire strategy to gain maximum reliability and also business agility from their current systems. In the current mega trends, such as electric vehicles, autonomous vehicle, challenges, and the mobility as a service, fundamentally changed the entire industry. So what we did is we moved the entire SAP R3 through the S/4HANA through a brownfield migration, brownfield approach. With that, customer is able to see a differentiator with respect to their user experience, with their customer experience, and they're able to replace some of the mobility solutions to suit or to change the ownership according to their current changes and trends. And another example I like to give is like, we happen to work with a major airport operator. They are in the airport business globally. They want to standardize the entire business processes, like, through their innovation and digitization for an efficient growth. And, SAP S/4HANA happens to the springboard for them. And through a greenfield approach, we have converted their entire landscape now within 2.5 to 3 months, and then allowed them to go to the market in a faster time to market approach. So T-Systems has been working with some of these excellent use cases all over the globe, and we are here to help you for any type of these changes. Next slide, please. So we're trying to work with you to shorten the S/4HANA transformation program. We have some of these readiness programs, like, for instance. So what challenges you are currently, you may facing? For instance, you have lots of customization, and now you want to compatible, and you want to make that compatible, for that what you need. And at the same time, how it is required to move to S/4HANA, and how it is really impacting other systems, and do they still interact with each other? And how do I find my ideal and efficient roadmap, and how you can take this entire thing to without disturbing your current infrastructure, and how do I estimate my current system sizing? So some of these challenges are definitely there, and with our readiness programs, we are able to address all these issues. Next slide, please. So what is this exactly, this transformation road mapping? Now, for instance, you have end-to-end designs, and in our end-to-end services management, we cover all the participants, creating room for the innovation. And we stress less, and we happen to providing secure operations. And also we'll be able to provide some of these demos. And for instance, like now we can do a POC and also a custom demo in case you want to look into how this is going to really affect you or happening to you. And we have been, I'm going to show another slide further down the line. We have several types of workshops whereby we'll be able to really make you to understand how this whole S/4HANA roadmap would look like. And of course, like we have several of these implementation accelerator, like definition implementation of HANA POC system, and this readiness analysis and preparation, and of course, you're looking into any greenfield option, we can definitely help there too. So all these areas of continuous transformation will be able to help you through a roadmap with T-Systems. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned earlier, we have several of these type of solutions with respect to these workshops. Now, for instance, now we have this initialization workshop, which runs for about 1 to 3 days, or just in a day, we'll be able to do that. The target is basically to understand the current customer challenges on the way to SAP Intelligent Enterprise. And what we will be able to deliver in that workshop is basically initial analysis and also a high level sketch about the application, big picture. Now, if you go to the discovery workshop, now the target would be explaining added view of S/4HANA and the business benefits. At the same time, the deliveries would be, you will have some of the SAP technical and transformation guides, and again, high level technical roadmap. And we have this innovation beautiful workshop whereby we'll be able to create a sort of innovation approach with respect to your Leonardo. And also we'll be able to, in the deliverables, we'll happening to provide you a target picture, including customer specific innovations, and also provide an innovation campus. The most interesting thing would be, of course, the roadmap consulting. All these workshops will be able to provide you in a 1 to 3 days timelines, like, either way, either is virtual or on-site, of course, based on the scenario, based on the availability. Whereas the roadmap consulting is purely a sort of like 1 to 3 months consulting phase, whereby the target would be generating a workable and cost-efficient and customer-specific roadmap now for the implementation of S/4HANA. In that, what we are planning to deliver is a migration plan and a project plan, and also detailed roadmap, and identifying some of the critical business processes. And also we'll be able to provide a cost estimation of a transformation project. So these workshops definitely help you, any client, to see where you can start and how you can really understand, this whole S/4HANA transformation programs. So with that said, I'm going to transfer now to Chris. Chris, take it over, going onwards, forward.
Yeah, thanks, Raj. Raj kind of introduced all the topics of some of the challenges you're facing and some of the different approaches and things that you need to take into account as you're considering your S4 and your digitalization and transformation efforts. One of the reasons that T-Systems has chosen S&P as a partner is because of our data transformation software. We've been building out transformation software for a long time that's been leveraged on some very complex projects. And the whole goal for us is to really leverage that platform throughout all different phases of the projects that you're looking at in order to accelerate, delivery with software. Our software is built from the ground up with different types of transformation routine considerations, as opposed to being built as more of an ETL tool. So we're constantly looking at how do we address transformation, how do we address it, in a more efficient manner, and how do we make it faster and easier for you as a customer. Some of the things we'll talk about today is our analysis. Our analysis accelerates that whole discovery and scoping phase by allowing all your consultants and partners to look at the system very quickly and understand what's in that system. And then finally, one of the big things that we enable, and you'll see that in the coming slides, is enabling you to pick and choose kind of how you want to get to S4, outside the boundaries of traditional greenfield and brownfield approaches. So that's kind of why we're partners, and let's dive into that just a little bit more. So thinking back to the challenges with S4 migrations. And if we think about the approaches that are out in the marketplace, if we talk about a new implementation, what you get with a new implementation is, you start off with a newly installed instance of S4. Most of the times, you're looking to really reimagine your business and do full process re-engineering. This is going to come along with new customizing and potentially new RISE-F development in those areas that you need to customize the system. And then, go live is going to be a kind of a master data, open item data migration. So, the new implementation is great for those customers that really have old systems that really need to be redone, really are looking to go through a massive digitalization and transformation process. On the opposite end of that is the system conversion. From a system conversion standpoint, we're going to start out with your existing ECC environment. You may have the chance to take advantage of the mandatory S4 simplifications, but if you want to do any more additional process transformation or any other type of enhancement of the S4 simplification adoption, you're going to have to do mandatory pre-projects and potentially post-conversion transformation projects. So your roadmap gets kind of extended with all of these pre and post projects that need to be done, and now you've got a full system of data, which may not be right if you've been running SAP for 20 years and you don't need that 20 years of historical data. What the S&P approach and the data transformation enables is what we call this Bluefield approach. Oftentimes you'll hear this out in the marketplace as a selective data transition or a hybrid migration. And here, this is kind of a mix between the two. Most of our customers that go with this approach, they start off with their existing ECC environment. They're looking to leverage some of the IP they've built up over the last 15, 20 years. They don't want to throw everything away. So they start with that existing environment, and we start with that environment without data. Then what this allows us to do is allows us to do the S4 simplification adoption. So things like customer vendor integration, things like enhanced general ledger functionality, plus doing additional transformations. So if you want to harmonize your customer and vendor master at the same time. So we can really kind of take those S4 simplifications and give you more than just the mandatory minimum adoption from a system conversion standpoint. Next, we can do targeted process transformation. One of the trends that we're seeing a lot with our customers is they're going through some level of financial transformation, but they want to leave logistics alone in the background. So therefore, this approach allows them to target just that financial transformation and leveraging the best of their system, which they consider their logistics environment. We can combine mandatory pre-projects. There's some things that just have to be done ahead of time if you're doing brownfield. I mentioned those. We enable you to put those into a single go live. And then finally, we give you the ability to select which data you want to migrate. So if you think about, again, from a greenfield approach, you're only getting master data and open item. If you're doing a brownfield approach, you get all of your data. With the S&P approach, you get really just a selective subset of data. So maybe you only want to move 7 years worth of data into your target instance. So you can focus on workload reduction. You can focus on removing old historical data that you no longer need from the system, and really kind of target that optimal value or the optimal size of data to give you the most value out of your reporting and analytics. So kind of enabling the approach. And then if you think about this from a timeline, we've got a representative timeline here. Of course, this is going to vary from customer to customer, but a lot of times, you might see a greenfield timeline of 6 to 12 months of re-engineering work, followed by a 12 to 18-month implementation. If you're kind of a probably middle of the road type of customer. If you want to take that same system and maybe then look at a brownfield approach, what we often find out that happens is customers start out with this, okay, we'll start our conversion planning at 9 months out. We'll start running the pre-checks. We'll plan on a 12 to 18 months S4 system conversion. But then what ultimately ends up happening is they find out that, oh, now I've got to do all these pre-projects. For instance, I've got 20 million records of data errors in my existing ECC instance that I've got to figure out what to do with before I can do my system conversion. I have to do document splitting and new general ledger implementation prior to doing my S4 system conversion. So all of a sudden, this brownfield timeline blows out, and you have to do all of these pre and post projects that I mentioned. What the software for us enables with this approach is really to kind of shorten that upfront process phase. The goal here is, one, to leverage software for the analysis, and two, to really only target that process reengineering and transformation at those targeted areas that you need to want to take advantage of in your system. And then two, we can combine all of those projects, the selective migration, the pre-projects, and the targeted transformation into a single project with a single go live, oftentimes faster than what you'd achieve with some of these other projects. So really that's the whole goal of bringing in transformation, bringing in automation, to accelerate your point of finally going live on S/4HANA to take advantage of the platform then for future digitalization needs. So just to kind of reiterate, we have a software platform. That platform has been built from the ground up, thinking about transformation programs from start to finish. It's not just about moving data. It's about planning your project. It's about having integrated quality checks once the data is migrated. It's about building predefined content and predefined scenarios into the software. And then we enable our migration consultants with a wizard-based approach where they have all the steps that they need to go through, from pre-migration checks, data migration, rule building, post-migration checks, into a wizard format, so that they can execute the projects more efficiently and with fewer errors. And then this software platform has actually been built up over the last 26 years, and we've done about 12,000 different transformation projects with this. So when we talk about kind of transformation scenarios, let's split these up into some different categories. System merges or landscape optimizations. We're seeing this trend specifically around a lot of customers who, when they did their initial implementation, they decided to put in regional instances. A lot of that was just technical problems with single relational database systems at the time. Some of it was they thought that was the best approach from a maintenance standpoint. But we're seeing now is with the HANA platform, with the analytics that are required, we're seeing customers start to consider that landscape consolidation. They're also kind of taking advantage of this time to, maybe they acquired an ECC system in the past that they want to bring to S4 as well. So we're really starting to see landscape optimization and merge projects. I mentioned the fact that we do selective data migrations. We do that because we can do splits of SAP systems. So we can carve systems or select the data by company code, by time slice. We can do selections below the company code level if we need to. But the split functionality is really all of the key things that drive our ability to do a selective data migration. We talk about move. So moving is migrating systems to a different infrastructure, whether you're going to a new hosted infrastructure or one of the major hyperscalers. We have the ability to move systems. We can move systems with near zero downtime. We can do heterogeneous moves. So this is kind of about that replatforming of your environment. And then finally, harmonize, and this gets really more into that process transformation of your environment. So maybe your company code enterprise structure is not working for you anymore. It was built over history, and now you want to optimize it. We can do things like company code merges. We can move plants around. We can harmonize master data. Different things around the new general ledger conversion. So with the software that we use, we've been doing all of these kind of projects in one way or another, one form or another, with the software. Basically, with S4, what we're doing is we're picking and choosing the components of each of these kind of projects that we want to put together, and then putting that together in a roadmap that works out for you. So, for instance, some of the most basic projects people come to us to do is an S4 conversion with, let's say, they want to do a split. So they want to do a selective migration. Their goal is to leave unused or divested entities behind and a time slice of data behind. So they're going to select a subset of their data. They've got new general ledger conversion requirements that they need to accomplish before their S4 conversion, and they want to migrate to a hyperscaler. So even just combining those three components into a single project is driving customers' decisions to kind of change the way they think about their S4 migration. Next slide. So when we talk about the software platform, we've got different modules within the platform. We've got an analysis module. So the analysis module is what allows us to very quickly understand the system. It allows us to do system discovery. It allows us to accelerate blueprint phases and really start to make decisions based on the way your system is configured and set up and the kind of data that's in your system much more quickly. Then we move into the empty target system. So this is our ability to build out empty shells. We'll talk a little bit about how this works in a couple slides. We have the ability to scan your communication logs and do interface analysis. Oftentimes, especially with older systems, customers have configured a lot of interfaces. There's things that are running, there's things that are inactive. They want to make sure that they plan for testing. Sometimes interfaces are the biggest things that catch you in your testing phases as you're doing these kind of projects because you missed one that you didn't test correctly. And now all of a sudden you get late into testing or go live and these interfaces start running again and now they've caused issues in your system. So we can very quickly assess the interface landscape and all the connectivity in your environment. Back one, please. We've got the data refresh and data scrambling test data organizer module. This is for building non-prod environments. So if you want to do workload reduction on your QA environments because it's just too large. If you need to do data scrambling and data refreshes, we've got kind of efficient ways built into the same platform to manage your non-prod test environments. The heavy lifter is the transformation module. So this is where we have all of our pre-built content, our pre-built rules, our scenarios. This is where the data migration consultants work in order to build and migrate data. And then we even extend this platform out to other types of partners and other functionality as well. So next slide. All right, so kind of moving through some of the different components. One of my favorite parts of the software platform is our analysis component. This really changes the game in the way that you can view your SAP environment. So in the process of running one extract from your SAP system, we then load that extract into the analysis module. We can very quickly understand different things about the data in your system, the way your system is configured, how you're using the environment, what level of customizing you have, which application components you're using, how do I plan a selective data migration. It really changes the way that consultants and your team can work with the environment. You know, most of us who come from the SAP world are used to many months of data gathering and Excel spreadsheets and building PowerPoint presentations and going through all of these interview type of sessions. This eliminates some of that overhead and really kind of helps speed up that assessment process. Next slide. Okay, so how does, you know, what's the technical approach and how do we make this possible once we move into really kind of that implementation phase of your project? So really when we do the data migration for an S4 project, we start off with creating an empty shell of the environment. The empty shell is your existing system, and it creates that shell without any data in it. Because there's no data in that empty shell, we can now come in and we can take care of all the S4 pre-checks and all of those items that need to be done from a customizing perspective in order to clean up that, you know, all of the mandatory items that SAP says you must do before you convert your system. One of the other things this eliminates that I talked about earlier was all these data issues because maybe you've got 20-year-old data in your environment. All of a sudden, we don't have to work through that before we start the S4 conversion. So at this phase, what we're doing is we're doing these S4 pre-checks, we're clearing out all of those items, and then we can also come in and do customizing cleanup. So for instance, maybe I'm going to optimize my enterprise structure and I want to delete company codes out of my system. I can do that in this step. Again, because there's no data. The next step for us is to use the standard SAP process to convert that system to S4HANA. And then once that system is converted to S4HANA, we can then start to do all of the post-migration steps, such as any new customizing. So configuring the new EWM in the environment, configuring general ledger the way we need the ledger and the universal ledger configured, remediating any RISEF objects that we need. So we're doing that all in an empty S4 system, and we're preparing it for data transfer. All right, and then finally, we're going to migrate the data. And so we're going to do a selective data migration, leveraging the transformation components of the software. At the same time that data is in flight, we're going to do that targeted business transformation, right? So here, we're going to merge those company codes together. We're going to change your chart of accounts, change the data from WM to EWM. So maybe some of those transformation items. And then we're going to do the S4HANA adjustments. So now we can come in and we can create our business partners and vendors. We can do the general ledger adjustments for document splitting or parallel ledger processing or anything else we need to do from a general ledger perspective. So we do all of that, a lot of that on the data that's in flight as we're loading it into the S4HANA instance. And that's essentially how it works from a migration perspective. Just, you know, real quick about kind of the credentials of the software. Our software is certified by SAP. We are part of what's called the S4HANA Selective Data Transition Group. This is a group of people a group of vendors that are capable of delivering these type of hybrid transformations. And then one of the more interesting things about kind of our auditing and certifications is we've gone through processes with both Ernst & Young and PwC, more from a financial auditing perspective. To basically say, you know, the software will stand up to financial audit if you leverage S&P software as well as the approach that they provide. As I mentioned, we've been around for 26 years. We've got employees across the globe, 30 worldwide offices, and we've completed about 12,500 projects. So our global headquarters is Heidelberg, Germany. We've had a long time relationship with T-Systems in Germany, to the point where they've been using our software for many years, executing these kind of projects. And then our North America headquarters is in Dallas. So thanks. I'll turn it back over to Raj at this point.
Thank you, Chris. That's great. Thank you very much for giving us a good overview of your migration timelines and some of the concepts of the SNP's Crystal Bridge and the Bluefield approach. I believe you mentioned about Bluefield somewhere, right? I'm just right. That's all right. So, of course, now if you see T-Systems, of course, this slide is not the least one, but of course, last one. It won't take much time. So T-Systems is part of the T-Mobile group. And we've been in SAP industry for a long time. And we've been working with many clients across the globe. If you see our now unique colors, magenta colors, if you see all over, it's doing very well. And we've been expanding globally. Especially our SAP practice is having a pretty good credentials and working with many of the clients all over the globe. For instance, we have 4,000 plus SAP experts out of many of those delivery centers, and beyond 1,000 plus of SAP projects, various areas. And of course, we have one of the biggest certified HANA installation. And of course, we have also certified in many of the areas like, SAP Run, SAP Application Management Services, HANA certifications. So we've been having plenty of these certifications. At the same time, one of the key important for any of these S/4HANA implementations is the Activate methodology, which I think everybody knows. I mean, some of the people. Is a totally new methodology, and sort of not a new exactly, but it is again coming from a ASAP methodology of SAP. It is called Activate, and we are a certified partner too. I mean, it means a lot. For instance, if you're getting it done with somebody else, not knowing the exact methodology which is supposed to be doing with that, you will land into problems. It could be a failed rollout, things like that. So. We have all those capabilities, and we've been helping many clients, of course, with the help of SNP. We have been running many of those projects, whether it is a brownfield, greenfield, of course, nowhere in between. We have another color of SNP's Bluefield. So all these approaches, we are very well versed, and we've been working many clients across the globe. So having said that, we like to take any of the questions. I see a couple of questions there. Definitely want to see what we have. Again, we are here on the slide, myself and Chris. So I will go ahead with the first question we have here. Yes. Yeah. The question is, all these workshops, all of them are paid or free? Yeah, thanks for the question. Yes, some are free. We can definitely work with you, in case you have any specific requirement, but we can discuss. For instance, you want us to run any specific scans or reports, all those we can provide easily. Of course, some of those tools are free from SAP too. So we'll be able to run those workshops without much cost, but we can always discuss. Suppose if you want to do a sort of a roadmap consulting, a full-fledged information, how your roadmap will look like. And when you run these type of workshops, you definitely want to know what would be your cost, how much, what is the timeline, how many weeks, months, or what is my current landscape would look like going to be going forward after the migration. So all these questions would definitely require a little amount of time, and also a good amount of interactions with your IT and business. So even though it's definitely possible to do, and we can make that happen for you in a good fashion. So other question I have, probably I think it's for you, Chris. Yeah, let me see. This is a bit, I think, yeah, I think you believe you answered that. The question is, our industry has very little SAP in place. Does the source data matter to SAP? Where the target system in SAP S4? Chris would like to go ahead with that.
Yeah. Most of the work that we do is in the SAP space. So in the past, we've done some work migrating JDE and Oracle to SAP systems, but for the most part, it's all around SAP.
Thank you. That's great. Thank you. And so we are here. We have still 15 minutes more to run this. And any other questions?
Yeah, there's one question on here, Raj, that I see. Is the S&P software installed in the SAP system? Yes, our software is installed on the source and target when we do a data migration project, and it does have its own namespace.
Great, thank you. Excellent. Well, so in any other questions you have, feel free. I know we still have some more time. And so if any of the audience or any of the participants wants to know anything specific on this type of S4HANA and our programs, what is a green field, what is a brown field, or a little bit about the blue field approach, we can definitely stay here and answer any further questions. Or in the meantime, Chris, you want to talk a little bit about blue field approach? I think you mentioned, of course, in between, but if you want to talk a little more on that, if you like to.
I mean, I think we covered it for today.
Very good.
Yeah, if there's any specific questions, I'd be more than I'm happy to ask them.
Yeah, I see another question here. How many migration T-Systems have done using SNP tools in North America region? Yeah, we partner with SNP, globally and also here in North America. We've been doing many of these migrations, especially the brownfield and also some of the blue field. I think we are at a stage. I think Chris, you can answer that question too. We are almost, I think, coming to around 8 to 10 migrations so far. I think Chris would be able to tell in a good way and what sort of those migrations and some of those projects. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I don't have the specific list of T-Systems projects in front of me. So we'll have to get back to you on that one.
Sure. Thank you. So yeah, that is what we have for today. And any other questions, we can still wait here. And yeah.
Yeah, Raj.
No, I see there's another one.
Thank you. There's another question. Okay, we'll take last question.
Yeah. Yes. Where can we find a list of partners in Benelux who are applying this blue field implementation approach? Either you, Chris, or Miranda. I think probably talking about European region.
Can you read the question again? The question is in regards to...
I'm sorry, yeah. Where can we find a list of partners in Benelux? I believe that is the part of the Europe region who are applying this blue field implementation approach. Probably, I think countries around Belgium, Netherlands, some of those countries, if I'm not wrong. I think I forgot that the region, what we call for the Benelux.
I'd have to look if we've got specific Benelux partners or not. I know, T-Systems has a pretty big presence, I believe, in Europe and Germany. So
correct.
They're definitely one of our top partners in that area.
Yeah. I have another question. What is your approach for performance load testing before production go live? What kind of testing tools you use for load testing? Chris, you'd like to go ahead with that?
Yeah, we don't handle the load testing part, so that would be whatever T-Systems uses on their projects. So.
Okay. Yeah, probably I think I can get back on that at a later time, and I'll make a note of this question.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to hop in here, and I'd like to thank the speakers today and the audience for joining today's webcast. And I hope everyone has a great rest of your Thursday. And if your questions weren't asked during the webinar, we'll be happy to follow up via email. And that concludes the webinar.
Thank you, Miranda.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thank you. Thanks for everyone.
Bye-bye.